Hey everyone, we have another word from our sponsor from Liquid IV. So if you'll give me a minute, we'll start the show soon. It's cold and flu season, if you haven't noticed. A lot of my friends and family are getting sick, so it's really smart to stay hydrated with Liquid IV. Just rip the convenient packet, add water, and stay hydrated. My favorite flavor is watermelon because it tastes really good and it's not as sweet as the other sports drinks I've had. Liquid IV contains 5 essential vitamins: B3, B5, B6, B12, and vitamin C. All that probably help with not getting sick, at least. Not to underestimate the 3 times the electrolytes of other leading sports drinks. Get 20% off when you go to liquidiv.com and use code NERDBS, all lowercase, and one word. At checkout, that's 20% off anything you order when you shop Better Hydration today using promo code NERDBS at liquidiv.com. Now, thank you for listening, and we'll go to this show. Hello and welcome to another episode of Nerd BS. We are in episode 2 of season 3, and it is January 24th, Wednesday of 2024. Wow, 2024 of 2024. I'm Alan.
Keep saying it. Keep saying
I
the
know.
number.
I'll keep saying it over and over again, and you'll get it so you don't get lost. What about you, Kyle? I mean, you're sneaking back over there. Oh yeah, we don't have Tomas here too. Just a heads up, he won't be here. He had an injury, so thoughts and prayers with him. Hopefully, he feels better. Right.
Yeah, nothing major. At least what he told us. Just old man injuries, as we all tend to get. Have you? Okay, I was meaning to ask you this before, but we're going to do it while we're recording. Have you ever pulled your back? Because I don't.
Yes.
You have.
I hadn't done it for a long time, but then something, I forget what happened. Oh, that was I've done my back, and I've messed up my knee more recently. That was the most recent
really?
one.
Yeah, knees are terrible.
The back one is pretty rough, but yeah.
Yeah, I think I prefer the knee because you get 2 of them, I guess. And the back is connected to your core, so like when that's out, you're done. Everything's done. So yeah. For me personally, though, I'm doing well. I have had a good week, a very busy week. Gosh, it flew by. I'll be honest with you. I forgot today was Wednesday when I looked in Discord, and I was like, oh, shoot, that's right. We're recording tonight. But nice. I had it cleared out and everything. So that's the beauty of planning ahead. Of course. We were talking about. I was mentioning like a lot of the things I wanted to do this year, 2024. Say it with me, 2024. 2024. So I've been hitting it hard, at least in my mind, trying to play games, and I've gotten to the point where I don't have to beat one before I start another one, and then I'm okay with it. Before it was like, dude, I got to grind through it, and it just was miserable. So I started several games this week. I started Lies of P on PS5, which is just straight up Souls game, but you're Pinocchio. I started Dynasty Warriors Gundam 2 on Xbox 360.
Oh shit! I mean, sorry, how is that game? I see it on there every once in a while. I like giant space robots, and I like Dynasty Warriors games. So I've always been curious.
Well, let me back it up a little bit. One of the same space robots, Dynasty Warriors, two of my favorite things. Right? Like, how could it go wrong? But I also started collecting Gundam figures.
Oh, are you a fan of Gundam or just like the aesthetic?
Yes, I still don't know the story though. I'm getting through that. That's another goal this year is to there's so
thought
much.
about it, and yeah, there's just so it's like worse than Dragon Ball Z in a way, because at least Dragon Ball Z you have like a big, like
it's
three
linear
big chunks.
It's linear.
Whereas Gundam, there's so many different shows that I'm not sure where to start.
It jumps around, yeah, and there's different names. So I bought a season that has a story so far episode to just give me a recap. So I haven't gotten into that yet, but the cool thing is my son found the space robots, as we call them, and he loves them. Like I didn't need to do anything. He just picked it up and was like, yeah, he's 4 years old. He's like, yeah, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. And so I luckily got cheap ones.
Yeah.
And so he just plays with them all the time. So I was like, that warms my heart too. And as far as the game goes, it's great. It's, I don't know, 7 out of 10. But, you know, when you're craving space robots and just hack and slash, easy to play, that's a go-to game. So
nice.
I'm most looking forward to playing that again. The other game I started was Wario World that we talked about. I did start that.
Yeah.
And loving it. It's the control, he doesn't control like Mario. You know how Mario's controls are like crisp.
He's heavier. Yeah.
He is, but like the game overall is like a little bit more clumsy. Like they didn't put the Mario 64 controls into Wario, which is strange. But it's very fun. It's a lot more straightforward than Mario 64. And I'm kind of just on easy fun mode like that. The Dynasty and Wario World, and then the other one, which I've already been playing. This will be the last probably concurrent game I've been playing, is Resident Evil Revelations on the 3DS, which I'm highly enjoying. But that one is the old sit on the pot game.
Wait, you played on the 3DS though?
Yeah.
I got that when it came out, and I had a rough time playing it. I really wish I would have bought the adapter where it gives you an extra stick, because I started playing on the the PS4, and it was a lot better. Like I was playing it on there, and I was like, much better game.
I have the one that comes with the stick, the new 3DS.
Oh, you do? So, nice.
So that
the little dot thing.
Yeah,
you're using?
And it works well. I think I got.
All right.
Cool. For that game, you don't need a lot for that. It's just what kind of genre is that Resident Evil? That block of time where Resident Evil 4.
I feel like it's a survivor. It's still like horror survival.
It is.
It's still in the more action oriented.
Yeah,
it's like Resident Evil 3, 4. Sorry, not 3.
Yeah,
4.
Yeah, not 3. It's like 4, but with Gears of War almost. Kind of just more action. I don't know if that's the right comparison, but yeah, that's just the hardest thing is the buttons on the 3DS, the L1 and L2.
Yeah, they're a little tricky because
they're horizontal. But hey, it's just easy fun on the 3DS, and I'm probably going to beat that pretty soon, which is surprising because I haven't beaten a Resident Evil game in ever. No. I know we beat 4.
I know you beat 4, and I know you've beat 5.
We beat 5 together.
Yeah, I beat 5 with you. I beat 5 with a couple people. 5 is amazing.
So
I know it gets a lot of hate, but I feel like it's still a fantastic game for an action shooter.
I feel like that one's not as much as 6, but
no, 6 gets 6 took the title after 5 was holding it strong, but then 6 came in and just swooped that title as most disliked for Resident Evil.
Yeah, it's his most disliked, but it's still sold like phenomenally. Like it's a fine game. It's just not.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
It's definitely strays further away from survival horror to action. Like we're saying. So yeah, and that's what I wanted. So that's why I'm playing that one. They didn't put the second one on 3DS, however.
No,
So
it's on Switch. I think it's on everything else. Or
it's on,
Switch.
yeah, it's on literally everything. You could get it on Vita, which I might actually get it on Vita.
Yeah,
And go for that because I'm enjoying it in handheld
it's
for some
completely
reason.
different game though. I will say that.
Oh,
The
number
second
two?
one, yeah,
Oh.
it's more akin to the older style. The over the top camera doesn't move.
So what the heck? Why would you?
I
do
don't know
that?
why it happened. It's just I'm not sure. I'm not sure why. I just know
All right.
that one because I got excited because it came to consoles because I was liking the 3DS
Right.
one, and so I feel like I got it for free or something at some point on PS4. It was like the first chapter or something,
Mhm.
and I remember playing it, and yeah, it was the over the top style of the older games. So,
Yeah.
I
Well,
don't
that's
remember.
weird.
It's been a
I
bit,
don't know
but I
what
know
they-
it wasn't the same.
They probably got caught up in that Resident Evil 6 stuff we were just talking about. They're like,
Wow,
oh, we
yeah.
better make it like old
But then
school.
4 was so, it took them forever to figure it out because 4
It did.
was like massively popular, and then they kind of strayed with 5, and then they strayed even further with 6, and then they went the whole the RE7 and 8.
Right.
Those ones were like first person. They completely changed everything, and now they're realizing it, and now they remade 2. They remade 3, and they have that same style, and those ones are
And
hugely
4.
popular.
They
And
already
4,
made 4, yeah.
and they're all hugely popular.
They did figure it out though. I will admit those new ones are great.
Yeah.
The remakes. So
Yes,
you're right.
I agree.
I'm glad that they had room, that we kept giving them money so that they could figure it out, and they figured
Here's
it
more
out.
money. While we yell at you, here's more money.
I don't like what you're doing, but yeah, take my money. Yeah, Capcom is they're great. I wish they could do like even more stuff, but I think they're in their lane, they're in their zone, they know what they do best, and they stick with
They've
it.
been doing pretty good recently, it seems like, with the games that come out. I mean, besides fighting games, I hear bad things about the fighting games.
It's
I'm not sure right this second, but I know the last one had a lot of issues, and they have this new one, and I don't know what the new Street Fighter is going
I'm
on
out.
right now.
I can't
Yeah.
do I was out when 4. I played
Yeah.
quite a bit of Street
4 was
Fighter
fantastic.
4. The
Mhm.
whole art style to me I don't like it. They're so
The new art
bulky.
style.
Um,
Yeah, they get pretty bulky for sure.
I don't know. It's not for me. But fighting games in general, other than Dragon Ball Z Fighters, that I've been off the radar for me. So, but that's the thing. It can be done because I guess that game's kind of old now. Dragon Ball
Yeah.
Fighter Z or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I love that game.
Still a huge fan base, though. There's a reason why you love it. I mean,
True,
it kind
but
of took that thunder from Marvel vs. Capcom 3, right? They kind of really took that crowd.
yeah,
Wanted that 3-person fighting game that was more modern.
yes, they did. Yeah, they're like, that works. People love that. Why not just do that? That's the problem, right? Like, Capcom realized what they're doing with Resident Evil wasn't working. They fixed it, so why not go back to what worked
Marvel vs.
before?
Capcom.
I don't know
Well,
about licensing with Marvel, but just the style
Yeah.
of it,
There's actually a really cool what happened about Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite that if you want to check out, it's actually really cool to see where they struggled.
I want to like that game too. I really do.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I'll probably try it again one day, and we'll see. The other thing that I've been catching up on is my backlog of TV and movies.
Yeah.
And so last night I finally watched Parasite, which we talked about.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That I forget what year. It won Best Picture within the last few years, and it's a Korean film, and it's good. It stuck with me. Like, I was thinking about it most of the today, and which that means it's a pretty good movie if it sticks with you.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't remember what else came out that year. Sometimes I don't really agree with Best Picture
Mm-hmm.
winner. And I think a lot of it has to do with recency bias when you first see it, when it comes out, what's happening in the world at the time, maybe. It's a good movie. It's worth a watch for sure. 8 out of 10, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But, there's still some stuff that just, part of me was like, okay, I'm sticking with it. But at times I was like, where's this going? But it definitely, the ending, you're like, oh, okay, that's crazy. So I watched that, and we were just talking about Fargo. Is it
Yeah.
4 or 5?
I think it's
It's 5, right?
6. I thought it was close to
This
6.
is 6? I thought it was 5.
Feel like it. It might be 5. I don't know. What's nice
It's-
about Fargo is that none of them are connected. So it's basically
Right.
each
Oh,
season
for sure.
is just a totally new story. So it doesn't really matter.
Right.
But there's a
And
current
this one's
season of
great.
Fargo, and you finished it, right? Another great season, another knock out of the park.
Yes. The only thing, yeah, they knocked it out of the park for sure. The only thing with this one was that my wife and I watched it together. I don't know how I got her to watch it.
Okay.
But that's how good of a story it is, right? Because she wanted to know. She doesn't like violence, like any kind of violence. And, Fargo, it's almost like the
Usually,
subtitle.
Mhm.
It's not constant violence, but when there's violence, it's like they show it. And it sometimes can be gory. So she stuck with it because it was a good story. And the only thing is we like almost binge watched all the episodes until the last one because we caught up. I thought the whole season was out, but we caught up, and so we had to wait a whole week for the last one to come out, and which built the tension. But it was a bit of a like, oh, I would have been cool if we could have watched that last week because I cared more. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, that's why I waited too. Yeah, because that's kind of how I feel. I'm tired of the wait a week because I've had too many times where I lose the steam the next week and then I forget to go watch the episode and then
you just don't really care. But if you binge it through, then it'll probably be even better. Definitely worth a watch. I think that's a 9 out of 10 for me.
Nice. I'm excited for that one. I do love that show.
Just like the a lot of the angles and the shots they do.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll just say this, and it really doesn't give anything away, but this is like as close. This is more of a comic book show than some of the Marvel comic book shows that are out now, in my opinion, and better. Like just so much better. And when you see it, we could talk more about it, but I'll just give you that. And so, go watch that. And then the other thing I started was True Detective, the new season on HBO.
I keep seeing like stuff for it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's. Have you watched any of the seasons? It's similar to Fargo.
I've never watched any of it.
It's similar to Fargo. New cast, characters, story every season.
Good.
Except season 2 was so bad that they've been like trying to get back to its glory from season 1 because season 1 is so good. It's so good. Just on its own, it's fantastic. And then season 2 is just so bad, like unanimously, like nobody. I've heard one person like it. He's like, I liked it because it was bad. I just liked the cheesiness of it. I was like, okay, I guess
it's a different. Yeah, if it's so bad, it's good. That's where it gets like, okay.
Yeah,
but if it's a show though, you don't want it to be too campy. I mean,
it's just,
I don't know.
Anyways, it's the first season was so good that I went through the second season, and then season 3 was fine. But it's been like several years since anything's come out, and so they came out with a bang. There's only 2 episodes out so far, and I'm all in, but it's also a little weird, so we'll see. It's also set in Alaska during their it's like nighttime for like a month.
Oh, the dark period, yeah.
And I love that because like you don't, as you're watching it, you have no idea what time of day it is. They kind of meant to like, hey, you want to get lunch, and you're like, oh shoot, that's right. It's like normal hours, but it's dark the whole time. So like that whole setting is really cool in this new season. So
that is actually kind of cool. I've always been interested. I haven't been to Alaska, but I've always been interested by that phenomena. It's an interesting thing.
Yeah, right. That's crazy.
Or not really, because apparently some people have some pretty bad problems there. But anyways, we're not going to talk about that. But that's cool. Well, I'm glad you got a lot of stuff knocked off your belt. That feels really good. I mean,
It does.
I've been kind of doing that too. I mean, I finished my book. I was excited for that. I finished it today, actually. Yeah, I finally started piling it on this last week, where I was doing like a couple chapters a day.
Nice.
Which is really knocking it down. So that felt good. Think? I really enjoyed it. I get to move on to looking into other bits of the Emery saga. So that was the biggest speed bump because it is an actual novel. There's just a lot more there. But I'm excited to move on and check out some other stuff. I have obviously worked on Baldur's Gate, and I'm thinking about getting back into Yakuza again.
Oh,
so I they were on sale, and I don't have the plus anymore or the pre-platinum, so I had to buy them.
Oh, you don't?
No, I got rid of the platinum. It went away on the 6th, and I just purchased the regular, normal, essential ones. So now I just because I feel like I got enough out of it.
They keep trying to get me to upgrade. I'm like, but I don't have time to play the games you already gave me. Like,
what's really annoying is there's been no sales. Yeah, there's been no sales on the service, which is bugging me.
Like the service itself?
They used to do sales for the service before, and now they haven't been doing any sales. Now you'll see sales, but they're only for new customers. All the sales have only been for new customers. Yeah. And so if you already have it, you can't get the deal, which is really annoying. So now,
unless you make a brand new account, right? Or
unless you do something crazy like that.
Yeah.
Which is ridiculous. So I started debating because I wanted to get the Yakuza games. So because I wanted to, I ended on 3, so I've done 0 to 3 now.
And so 4 games.
Now, 4. I just want 4.
0 is its own game.
Yeah. 0, 1, 2, 3, and that's the one I finished. And that's supposed to be the hardest one to get through was 3, is because it's the oldest. Because the rest of them, the ones before that were all remastered, and then 3 is just like up-res from the PlayStation 3 game, and then apparently 4 is much better, and then 5 is remastered as well. So.
And then is 6 the Like a Dragon?
And 6 is a PS4 game straight up. So that one is just back to that one's closer to modern gaming.
Right.
But that's where I got them there $5 each. But because of a lot of this controversy that we're going to talk about right now, I was actually looking into purchasing it physically on eBay. Which it's only, I think the cheapest I could find it was for about $20. $30? I think it was $30.
Yeah, that's not bad though. Still,
all 3 games, not bad, but not $10. So I really had to do some soul searching, and I was like, I don't know if I really, because I've already beat 3. Am I ever going to go back to 3? I don't know if there's even reason to have it anymore.
Yep, I've been down that road.
And so now I just want those 2 games. Like maybe the newer ones, I'll think about it. I mean, but I saw some offers on there, but it's still too high for what I want because I do really am liking Yakuza games. But do I like it enough, like Kingdom Hearts, where I want to own them physically?
That's a good question, and maybe we could save that for another cast of like how badly do you want a game? Because I'll buy digital games often.
Yeah.
If I know, like, hey, I'm probably going to play this once, maybe not even all the way through. And then I'll be done. It could probably just get deleted off my console, and that's fine. But there's a lot of games that I would love to play again, like Kingdom Hearts. That's a good one.
That is one I've gone back to multiple times. I have gone through the whole series. I remember the
whole thing.
All the
handhelds.
That's the only one. Maybe not. Everything that's on that collection, I went back to on the collections that are on the PS4. It's because before Kingdom Hearts 3 came out, I got this bright idea to go through all the games, and I've done this before with other titles, and I've never gone all the way through it. I never find my way through it because it's always too much. But Kingdom Hearts, I went through each game. Now I didn't collect everything. I just went through each game, the story, and then moved on to the next game. And so, but I still made it through all of them to get to Kingdom Hearts. So I definitely will play them again for sure, 100%.
Wow. Okay.
Thinking about playing them already, but
get the ultimate weapon too.
So I've done it before. I think I've done it on most of them, not all of them. I did it on 3. I did it on 1 and 2. I don't think I've ever done it on Chain of Memories. I have not done it on DDD. I have not done it on any of the other ones. I think I've only done the main 3, primary 3.
That's Dream Drop Distance.
Dream Drop Distance, yeah. The 3DS.
You had to. Yeah. I do miss that. Nintendo games can't do that anymore. I remember DS did it, and 3DS.
Uh-huh.
It was just like a fun game they were playing. We're like, can we put the title of our game? So, like, for instance, I got Ninja Gaiden on DS, which is called Dragon Sword. So DS, Dragon
DS,
Sword. So,
yeah.
yeah, see. So,
the Resident Evil had that too, right? It was like dead. It was a what was Resident
Deadly
Evil?
Silence.
Deadly Silence. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, it was like, were they required to do that? Like, how did that'd be a fun story to figure out.
Yeah, because Kingdom Hearts DS also had something too, but I don't remember what it was. I don't know if it stood for anything, but I know that Triple D. Yep, that's for 3DS. Anyways,
Yeah.
So we're talking about physical versus digital. More of the inevitable digital future that we've discussed before, and the
Right.
speed bumps we've been having that have led our way to it. I mean, I don't know if you're accepting of it yet. I'm not really. I don't know if
No.
it's going. I used to think it was going to be an
No.
easy transition, like movies and music. But even music is coming back in a physical form. Like people
Right.
want to own it now, and movies have gone. But I feel like eventually, I'm hearing more and more people say they're still collecting movies because of the way the streaming services are going.
Oh yeah, I've been
And-
hitting it. I've been hitting it a little bit harder now. I started picking up physical movies.
And I
Just
and I
in the
get
last
it.
couple
Like
months. Yeah,
I was getting rid of my physical movies for a while. I still have a
Mhm.
chunk of them,
same.
but I'm
Same.
starting to get it. I used to want to just start getting, because I don't live in a large house, so I was like, I want to get rid of a bunch of clutter. So I was like, well, let's get rid of a lot of these things. But now I've been to points where a while ago I really wanted to watch a couple of times. I really wanted to watch like the Evil Dead series. And so I wanted to watch
yeah.
it. And for some reason, like I love the series and I've watched it multiple times, but I wanted to watch it and it was on nothing. It wasn't available anywhere. And I was like, what the
Oh.
heck is this? It's not even that
Yeah.
small of a franchise. Like people know that it's franchise. It's not a small franchise. I mean,
Right.
it's definitely a little bit much smaller than a lot of the other large ones. But then another one popped up where it was Die Hard. Die Hard, it was around Christmas time and I really wanted to watch Die Hard. And it was nowhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
All the diehards were gone. I had to end up just going and buying them off of Voodoo, I think, to watch them.
Right.
So it's just,
Quote unquote
This is-
buying.
yeah,
Right, which is
quote unquote
what we're
buying, and that's
We'll get into
what
that.
we're
Yeah.
talking about. So we kind of discussed this in our Discord where so there was a Ubisoft CEO who made basically a quoted tweet or quoted phrase in his interview where he essentially said people need to get comfortable with not owning their games, and he was referencing how people did with movies and music in the past. And this is the big kicker though, because people were kind of taking this out of context. But the big kicker was he was basically saying that people need to get used to it, so gaming streaming form will get more popular. So that's what he was going towards. But
Mhm.
I don't know how we feel about that. So I kind of got a couple articles from history. So I don't know if you
All
want
right.
what do you have to say about that first? What do you have to say about that first thing? We talked about in Discord a bit. So what are you thinking? Do you have anything off the tip of your tongue that you want to say, Kyle, about this person? Which I'm trying to figure out his name right now. But he's the one of the CEOs of Ubisoft. But who cares? You can find the article. I'm using an article off GameIndustry.biz. So
No disrespect,
Anyways.
but I don't memorize CEOs' names.
yeah, I'm not
of companies.
I'm not a fan of CEOs either. He's
His
got a
name
very
is-
punchable face.
Wow. It's very European. It starts with a Y. Y and V.
Oh.
So yeah, I'm not even gonna try.
Anyways,
Yeah, I'll play devil's advocate just for the sake of conversation. His point being like, and you mentioned this, that CD collections are gone, right? Like I have a handful of CDs for Mementos, and I've started kind of getting some of those back, but like again, like even when I buy a CD, I'm kind of like, where am I going to put this thing? You know, I
Yeah.
do like game soundtracks, so I have like one of those 32 sleeve holders for my car, and I'll put if I
Nice.
get a game soundtrack, I'll just slide it in there, and you know, whenever my phone's not plugged in, the CD pops on automatically. So it's just
I'm
modesty.
surprised your car has a CD player in it. Maybe is it an option?
2015. 2015.
Oh, okay, it's a little older than mine because I have a 2020 and there's no CD player in it.
Oh yeah, they're out. They're gone. So, which is like, man, I don't want to have to buy a new car because I like having that. I like having the option because I still do it. DVDs, yeah, but Blu-rays, I still like to collect because, one, they're a little bit more durable. But second point is you can get like the collections. You know how they have like 4 movies in one on some of those Blu-rays? Oh gosh, that's the best way to do it. But yeah, like you said, like just not being able to find it sometimes. Like, dude, I just want to watch The Equalizer starring Denzel. You know,
it does come up. I won't lie. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
yeah. You get it.
Which is another one I watched, by the way. Equalizer 2. I'm going to finish the series, the Denzel series. Which that is like, man, that's just dumb, as my wife calls it, machismo fun.
Yeah,
because he can't, like, he never misses, he doesn't do anything wrong, but it's just like if you're near in the mood for that kind of action. But yeah, like, dude, it was gone, and they started raising the prices to rent them on Amazon, just to rent them.
Yeah, whenever the movie, because I think the third one just came out, right? As the third one. It's usually when it happens, because that's when I wanted to watch the Evil Dead franchise again. Was when the Evil Dead Rise came out, and so of course it was stripped everywhere because they wanted you to rent it.
Yeah,
which frustrated me.
You know what's frustrating about that specific series too is that they had a deal on the series, right? Like you could get, it was like a Blu-ray deal, like a pack of them, and you could get all of them except Army of Darkness was not included. And I'm like, well, I'm not getting it then. Like, why?
That has some weird rights held up, but it is really annoying. Yeah. I agree.
Oh gosh, I feel so bad. Then that's another kind of conversation, right? Like, who owns the rights of stuff, and can you even get it physically anymore, or do you have to go to eBay? And so, yeah, I think going back to the original quote from the CEO, he was basically saying, like, it's inevitable, right? Like, not so much, hey, I'm not trying to threaten you, like, hey, you need to get rid of your physical because we're going to make it happen. It's like, it's going to happen. Like, we're not the only company doing it, right? Like, and I don't have the numbers, but if you look at sales, digital sales are, it's staggering, right?
I know
not even close.
4 people, like in my close vicinity that only buy digital now. Like I am becoming an outlier.
Oh, really? Only?
I know you, but yeah, only. Like I still shop around. Like I do buy a lot of digital, but if I see a deal physically, I will do that instead. Which most of the deals seem to come physically,
right.
or when they're newer, and then when they get older, it's a whole thing. But I still shop around, and there are certain cases where if I know a game that I'm passionate about or I like the franchise, I will get the physical version just to have it, because I do kind of hold that. But I am seeing it more and more as I was getting more and more people that are just completely comfortable buying digital, not even worrying about the physical aspect anymore.
Right, and yeah, that's what scares me is they don't worry about it at all, and maybe kudos to them. They're just living their life and probably enjoying it. Where we're over here,
we're thinking about it too much.
We're recording a whole podcast about it. Which I just bought Cuphead, the physical game, which that one was only digital for 5 years. They finally finished the DLC, so that they made a physical game of it, so you could have all the DLC on the game. But that's just crazy. I can't believe there's people that are fine with digital only. So I was heading that way, you know.
Yeah, so was I. I actually was getting really comfortable with it for a bit.
Yeah, like the CEO said, you need to get comfortable with it. But I just, as much as I'm trying to go on his side, I don't think that's right. Like, because there's so many things So let me say this: I'm a firm believer in
yeah.
getting rid of stuff, right? Especially
Yes.
if like you pick up a movie, you're like, I'm never gonna watch this again. I'm just not. Or especially games, like I'm never gonna play this. I'm never gonna play this again. Get rid of it, sell it, donate it, whatever, hand it on to the next generation. But there's coming a time where the digital will be owned by somebody or something, and it won't be us.
So, that's a good leadway to this. So I wanted to go over a couple articles real quick, just to kind of have some history of what's been going on with the digital platform. And what was really fascinating, we talked about this before, is a lot of it is with Ubisoft. I'm not sure why they seem to be the headliners of a lot of this, and I'm not saying this is the only stuff that has happened in the last couple of years, but at least it's the stuff that I remember or I found right now.
It's the loudest for sure. It's the loudest.
Yes. So if you remember in 2022, there was a case where Ubisoft was essentially threatening to pull, well, not threatening, they were going to pull specifically Assassin's Creed Liberation, but that was only going to be the start of what they were pulling off of Steam entirely. That was their plan. There's a whole list of games on this article. This is by futuregamereleases.com, and they had a whole list of games that they were talking about not only removing them, but making it so they didn't have, not only so you couldn't buy them, but also making it so you didn't have access to them. Now, things changed, and they went back on that, and they changed it to where they're not selling a lot of it anymore, but you can still access it, even if it goes away.
If you purchased it, yeah.
If you've already purchased it. This also announcement happened right after a big summer sale that was a 75% off of Assassin's Creed Liberation at that time, which they were claiming was going to be shut down at September 1st. So you maybe only had a couple months with those games, which was, or at least that specific game. Obviously, they stepped back on this after the Outlash for a very good reason. There was another, this was a much smaller thing in 2023, where there was a leak online from people who were getting emails that were claiming that if they weren't on their account within the next 30 days, their account would be deleted. So this is an account through Ubisoft to access your games that you have purchased digitally through them. So that means if you weren't on there, it would be deleted. Now, according to Ubisoft, it was a mistake. That email was not supposed to go out.
Right.
And so they obviously backed off on it during the outcry. We had something recently, going more over to TV shows and movies. This happened at the end of last year, in December. I think we may have talked about it, or at least maybe it was in Discord. But where PlayStation was claiming that they were going to remove all Discovery programming off of their platform, the purchasable stuff. Now, we don't know exactly why this is happening, because there was a very small tidbit of information where they said, by the way, we're doing this at the end of the year. Obviously, huge outcry. They pulled back on it. So every time I keep saying this, if you can tell, big outcry, they stopped doing it. So they're just waiting until the outcry doesn't happen, and then they're just going to start doing it.
Yeah.
And so it's getting kind of scary for that access.
I don't know. I mean, there are probably some instances where the outcry hasn't happened, and it's, stuff has been pulled, and you can't get it anymore digitally. But it's been outcry every time, so it's almost like, companies take note. Like, there's our publishers like Limited Run Games who are thriving on, they don't even make games, they just publish old games, new games that don't get physical releases. Like, there's a market for it, right? Like, why not invest in that side even just a little bit? It's instead of leaning towards the digital so hard.
I have a feeling what may end up happening, and this is going to be conspiracy hat stuff.
Yep.
First of all, mostly about digital stuff. If you're gonna force us to buy digital things, expect us to be buying them, and you better have the stuff in place to keep those provided to us. Number one. But number two, what I'm feeling what's going to happen is what happened. I've been seeing multiple times with vinyl. Actually, is they
Hmm.
do these things where it's almost like a Kickstarter type thing, where basically they sell you a product. So if you want a physical game, for instance, they're like, "Hey, you want this game? It's coming out. You want it physical." You go to the thing, you sign up, you pre-order it, you get the physical, and they make the amount they need to sell people. It's basically they make what's
Yes,
going to
yes,
sell,
yes, yes.
and that's
Right.
it. I feel like that's where we're
Pre-orders.
going to head. It's
Yeah,
essentially
I mean,
pre-orders, but if you want the physical one, you're going to have to go in and pre-order it to get the physical one.
and
And
that's
that's just
that's a big part. That's a big part of what limited run games does, right?
they do
Like
the same thing, yeah, or
they,
something similar.
no, there's a lot of distribution where it's just widely produced, and what sells. But yeah, but the thing is with that, like there is a market for it, right? The other
Yeah.
thing is, on that note, limited run games has a partnership with Best Buy, and I say has with quotation marks
Yeah,
because Best Buy is pulling at least their movies, all their physical movies from the physical stores.
yeah. I don't think they're
So,
doing games yet, but they've already pulled. I'm pretty sure they already pulled music. Now they're pulling movies.
oh, music's been gone for a
Yeah,
while.
music's been gone for a while. You can
Well,
still buy it on their
maybe vinyl.
website. No, vinyl's not in the stores. I have never seen vinyl in the store.
I don't.
You could buy them online. You can buy the vinyl online, but you can't. I've never seen vinyl in the store. I've looked.
And the thing is, like, going back to the other side, like, you got to go where the money is. And like we said, a lot of people have just switched over to digital, and they're already there. And one thing that we missed in that article about Ubisoft is that they have acquired the rights to Activision Blizzard's games just for streaming, though. So that is probably a huge push as to why the CEO is like, hey, get used to digital or streaming, because guess what? They own one of the biggest companies' rights to streaming. They don't own the rights to the games, just when they stream it. Which is,
The
go
price
ahead.
isn't even that great either. It's like it's $17.99. I mean, that's $18 a month. I mean, yes, you can have access to it on PC, Xbox, and Amazon Luna, but that seems really steep. Like if you're already paying for like Xbox Game Pass, or you're already paying for that. I mean, I don't know what Amazon Luna really is, but I know what it is, but I don't know much about it.
Yeah, I don't.
So it's like
Sounds
it's just
like
another
Google Stadia.
I know PlayStation has been pretty good about not allowing third-party subscriptions on there, but then again, I think we have the EA one on there now, because I see the little EA thing next to games now. So I think the EA service is on there, or at least accessible on there or something.
Side note, they don't have 100% control of Star Wars anymore, EA. So I'm kind of excited.
No.
I'm happy for that. That's another story, but just wanted to throw that out there.
I think that's who's making. I think Ubisoft is making the Outlaws game. I think it's Star Wars. Is it Star Wars Outlaws?
Did they?
I feel like they're the ones making that.
Well,
look it up now.
I like the games they make, and so there's some hope there.
Yes,
unless
Star Wars Outlaws is Ubisoft.
Unless it's streaming only, right? Like if they're just like, hey, this is.
I don't think we're there yet. Like
no, I know.
This is very specific. Also, one of the things he says on this service is it's also going to have the same thing as like Xbox Gold, where it's like day in. As soon as it comes out, it's on the service, which is the big point here. Where Princess Persia: The Lost Crown that just came out, that was on the service day one. Actually, it was apparently it's on the service early, so you can actually access it earlier if you're on the service.
Right. So for like just over $200 a year, you can get their service.
Oh my god! You say that, and I just realized. Yeah, I didn't realize it was that high. It's high,
dude. I automatically do that with any service. I do the math in my head.
See, that's the only thing I'll give a PlayStation, because you can only, they always show the year one first.
Yeah, give me the year. I appreciate that too. Like, how much is it a year? And it's a little bit cheaper if you buy it by the year for PlayStation.
Yeah.
Maybe there's an option for Ubisoft. I've never looked at that. But I mean, when you own the streaming rights to what is Blizzard? What's the World of Warcraft? What are they? What's the biggest one for Blizzard?
It'd be Diablo 4 is probably the big one that's out right now.
Right now. So
that. And maybe Overwatch 2 maybe.
So once game streaming becomes a thing, they're going to be set, right? And so they're obviously going to push for that. They don't really have, obviously they don't have an investment in like, hey, we're going to make physical games when they own the rights to streaming, which is 100% digital. There's no, they make $0 off of physical games if you own the rights to streaming, which is like, when did we get to a point in a society? This is a larger note, but a point in society where you're nitpicking the rights of streaming versus digital versus physical. It's like, good Lord. Anyways, that's what we're talking about though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, of course they're going to argue for that, and you go where the money is. But I guess for most of their games so far, Ubisoft has produced physical copies. However, if we kind of shift gears, Alan Wake 2 we've talked about was digital only. That the new one coming out, Senua, Hellblade 2. I don't know if you've heard of this one.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's going to be digital only. The first one was digital only, but they ended up getting a physical release, so maybe that will happen. But there's no the thing is that there's no talk of it, right? The company's not like, oh, by the way, we'll come out with a physical release in 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, they're probably waiting for this. I don't know what they're waiting for, because Alan Wake, I know you were explaining a little while ago that the people who made Alan Wake were actually disappointed that they didn't release a physical release.
I need to post that article. I need to find that, but I don't know if I think they regretted a little bit, like, oh, there was a market for a physical release, but maybe you and I are just in that minority now of collectors / nostalgia chaser whatever's that want that. But the thing is, like, here's a little side tangent. You recall when Nintendo released their mini consoles? PlayStation did one too, and Sega did 2 of them. Yeah. Mini NES, mini Super Nintendo. Those things, 100% sold out. Like, you couldn't find one. Still, they're if you want to buy one, you have to buy above retail to get one.
Yeah, I have the SNES, and I have the Sega one, the Genesis one. I got both.
Yeah, there's a Sega 2 one, by the way, which has Sega CD games. Which,
I know. I thought about it, but I barely played the 2 I have. So
yeah,
But
the thing is, they sold out, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, how do you come out with a product that's, well, Sega, I guess, didn't sell out like Nintendo, but Nintendo comes out with it, 100% sells out. No one can find one, and they go, oh, yeah, well, we're done with them. Like, how did you not make money on that? Like, you literally just put ROMs onto a box. You sold a Raspberry Pi.
A proprietary Raspberry Pi. Yep.
Basically. Literally. And we ate it up, and I love it. I'm not, like, saying it's bad, but, like...
I modded the shit out of both of them, and they're fantastic. I mean, nice. I only have, like, SNES games or Genesis games on them, but still, like, I've heard people do, like, GBA and stuff, but I just kept them kind of like that. I just put more games on them. I just wanted more games on the little device.
I will admit, like, I felt like it was like 10 to 15 games too short. Like, it needed like 10 or 15 more games on each of those.
Yeah, and there's so much memory on it too, which is
that's so weird.
It's a little, yeah.
It just it boggles the mind, and it goes back to our main question of, like, what is happening with these CEOs where they're like, yeah, well, this is the progress.
That's
maybe we're in the minority, Alan. Maybe you and I are just like,
I don't know, and that's where Larian kind of comes in. I know I hate to keep going. Baldur's Gate 3, I love you so much, but Larian's CEO Sev has already stated that they will not put their game. Baldur's Gate 3 and their other games will stay off subscription services. They are taking a stand. So. Really?
Did they give a reason why? Was there?
Well,
I did not know that.
Sven made a tweet where he explained why, but I don't know if I can find it right now. But he was essentially saying that he doesn't like how subscription services work because it doesn't help the independent developers. It only helps the people who are much bigger.
Oh, right.
So to be seen, you're gonna have to have more work and more time, and it's gonna be extremely harder if you're competing with subscription services. So that's where the issue. So basically, you go on the subscription per service, or you don't. And if you don't, you're basically going to be dead in the water unless you get really lucky.
And even then,
so, yeah,
like even then, like it's hit and miss if you're going to get downloads. And I don't even know how that works as far as payment. Like, do you get a lump sum just for joining the subscription service? Do you get reimbursement per download? Do you get reimbursement per play? Like, I don't even know if they release those numbers, to be honest. Like, I've never heard of a company, say Xbox with Game Pass, like releasing numbers of like, hey, if you join this subscription, like a developer company, if you join Game Pass, we give you X amount of dollars, or do you get X amount of dollars per download? You know what I mean? And then if that's the case, the latter, how much of a risk is that? Like, hey, if nobody downloads it, do you just get booted off? Like, we're back. It's almost like it's a cycle, right? Like, we figured out this video game industry went through highs and lows, and we got to this point in the 90s where it's like, this is how you do it. Small companies can do it this way, and then we come to the digital age now. Fast forward another 20-30 years, we come to the digital age, and we're back to square one. It's like, well, if I'm a small company, do I need to join a subscription? Do I need to go to a publisher to release it physically? What do I do? Not to mention that the video game industry as a whole was hit hard last year. I don't know if we mentioned it last week, but like, just if you want to feel sad, go type in video game industry layoffs of 2023, and you'll see just almost every company across the board has hundreds, if not more, layoffs for last year, which is weird why not a lot of people are talking about that more. It's a little scary. Maybe that's like COVID residual, where companies kept people on board, like hoping that things would pick up once the pandemic ended, and now it's not really what they're hoping for. I don't know, but there's a lot of, like, even with Ubisoft, they I think it was 124 people, not a ton, but still, that's I did the math on my calculator. I didn't do this in my head. If every one of those people is making 50 grand, that's $6.2 million a year that they cut, right? So that's a big chunk to lay off. 6.2 million. So anyways, I know I'm going on a tangent.
No. I did find the tweet, so where he talked about it. So if we're curious about that, I could put it in a description, but it basically says whatever the future of games looks like, content will always be king, but it's going to be a lot harder to get good content if subscription services keep the dominant model, and a select group gets to decide what's going to market and what not. Direct from developer to player is the way.
Okay, yeah. Direct from developer to player. Right. I agree.
So, there's a lot more if you want to look it up. Swen. I will post it
in the Discord.
I'll put it in our Discord, so if you're curious, you can go look at it. He actually has a couple more tweets attached to it, but I feel like reading tweets here is going to get old quick, so we're not going to do that. Right. I'll put it in our Discord. So if you want to check it out, you can look it up, or you can go to our Discord. Either way. Yeah.
That's good context, though, right? Like, just that one starting.
Yeah. Yes. There's a lot more where he goes to talks a lot more. But, yeah, I think a lot of good points were made. I don't know. Is there anything else you want to say? I like subscription services. I won't sit here and lie about that, but I do agree.
Right. There's a place for it.
Everything should be on them. Yes.
There's a place for it, right? Especially, I think, for retro gaming. With the prices that a lot of them are on the secondhand market, and the availability of them overall, I think there's a big place for subscriptions where it's like, for us, for you and I, Alan, it's like nostalgia. Like, man, I want to go back and play all the Mega Mans. Although Mega Man, they have re-released all their games.
Capcom did a really good job with that. There's a lot of good
times.
pushes. I like the Capcom did that. Konami has done that. I mean, they don't do much else, but they do re-release a lot of cool games. I do like the Castlevania collections.
Konami, Konami's hit and miss, dude. It's so weird.
With the collections, or just in general?
Well, that's like great with the Castlevania, right? Like that's a hit, but like Silent Hill, they're dropping the ball with that, dude.
Okay, so more recently, because the Castlevania one was good. I hear good things about the Metal Gear Solid ones, the Metal Gear ones.
Those are both hits.
Do remember the travesty that was the Silent Hill,
the HD
compilation?
remaster?
I don't know what it was. It was
the HD remaster.
It was
you're
awful.
Talking about, right?
Yeah, that's what I've seen. The comparison photos.
It's a fun story, to be honest.
But they did screw up a lot with the.
It is. It's just so. It's a really good story because a lot of it had to do with rights, but it was only number 2 and 3 too, which is a miss, right? Like it's not what happened to number 1 and what happened to number 4. Like those were all out prior to that. So, anyways, that was a miss. They're swinging for the fences though in the upcoming year or two with Silent Hill because they got multiple movies, they got multiple games coming out.
A whole remake for 2.
Remake for 2. So they're swinging for the fences and hoping that one of them sticks because there multiple games are coming out. They even there's a you won't be surprised, but there's a phone game for Silent Hill that you can get.
Oh,
and
I didn't know that actually.
It's
not
just
Pachinko, is it?
No. Although some probably wish it were because it's kind of wacky. But
okay.
It's a thing. So anyways, Konami's hit and miss, and like I could go on with that. But like so for the older games, like let me play those PS1 games and older, right? Let me just try them. That being said, like there's you could release those physically, and you could do like they've done that recently with like the Atari, was it 50? And then they just re-released like they have 50 Atari games on the Switch, right?
I do like those. I really like that kind of stuff. I do like Nintendo's model where they're putting a bunch. I wish there was more games on there, but I do like the concept. They have a good
subscription.
The subscription for where they have a bunch of GBA games on there. They have a bunch of N64 games on there. Like I like that because it's preservation of gaming.
Right, and I like that too. I'll be honest though, and this will be my last point. I went on all of those recently. I put them all back on my Switch, and I think I played maybe 3 games and no more than like 15 minutes because like they don't. Some of like even the games that I remember and loved, like I play them again. I'm like, oh, I don't want to play this right now. So
it's true. There's just not enough time. It's like you could be playing a newer game. You could, it's hard to go back sometimes, especially some of those games that are really old. It's like, how much time do I want to spend on this? Like,
some of them are so difficult. It's just ridiculous. Like the difficulty, and there's no easy mode. So to be honest, they're doing it, and even like you said, you wish you had more games. I went on there. I'm like, I'm not going to play any of these. I forget.
I think I'm just more placing it for preservation, place to access them. I mean, we don't have the time for it, but some younger people from a different from the next generation, they may have a little more time, and maybe they'll want to experience some of those games.
Let me ask you this: did you ever want to go back and play Atari? When
I never go back and play Atari when I was growing up. No. But I think Atari, compared to the games that we had, was a different ball game because graphics was advancing so fast.
Well,
people can like the sprites, but I don't think people can really.
I mean, I think the next generation would probably say the same thing, right? Because if you look at
you could be absolutely right. for
You
sure.
know, I'm just saying that because that's probably where a lot of the younger generation is. Like, oh, I don't
I
want to
mean,
play
just look at Tomas.
Sprite.
He's not here to
What's a
defend
Sprite?
himself. But
Yeah, let's call
every
him
time I
out.
bring up even a game, so we've been playing Baldur's Gate 3, and I've even mentioned playing Divinity Original Sin 2 because it was their previous game online together, and he said that game's graphics were too dated for him.
Right.
So
Yeah, I would love to hear what he would have to say about this particular subject about newer games versus older games.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's
for sure.
A lot of it doesn't hold up.
But I think that our time is running out, so
Yep.
I'm gonna stick with my same quote of I like subscription services. I like digital as long as they don't, as long as I have a plan in place to keep you being able to have access to your digital library. And I really hope physical doesn't go anywhere. Like, part of me cares because of the environment and stuff, but the other part of me, it is nice to be able to have the game you like so much. I think that's where I'll leave it. What about you, Kyle? You got any last words?
I will. I'll try to embody the CEOs that we were kind of talking about. Maybe against your point, just for fun.
Okay.
There's no money in that, so why the heck? I can't sustain a business that way, so why would I do that? And second of all, how are you going to play the new games if you're too busy playing the old games? So I'll leave you with that. Yeah.
All right. And that'll be it for our discussion on the current state of digital and if we enjoy physical. So we will come. We are not.
I enjoy physical, baby.
Oh, we all enjoy getting physical, but we will not be here next week. We will try to do. I will do updates on when we will do our next recording to let everybody know. Hopefully, we will have at least one, if not two, episodes next month. So we'll see you then. Welcome to the new year, and thanks for listening.
Bye.